BJ Mafia was popping. So Jaguar fans, we're currently in the middle of the week in preparation for week 2 of the NFL preseason, where the Jaguars have been training and working out with the Detroit Lions all week. They're gonna be playing the Detroit Lions at Ford Field. I don't think the Lions will be playing their starters, but nonetheless, that means that we are just getting weeks closer to the start of the 2023 NFL season, and the anticipation and excitement and all the anxiety that comes along with it is finally here. Jags football is so close to being finally played in week 1 at Lucas Oil Stadium, where the Jaguars will take on newly announced Anthony Richardson as the starter for the Indianapolis Colts. And I asked you guys on Twitter, and if you guys already don't follow me on Twitter, please go ahead and follow me on Twitter, to go ahead and drop me some hot takes for the Jaguars only in the regular season. And you guys showed me some mad love, and I want to get to as many as possible so I could react to them today. I picked a dozen of my favorite ones, and I want to react to them with you guys here on the channel today. I love doing these interactive videos with you guys. So if you guys have any other ideas or any other topics for you guys to somehow get involved with the channel in ways like this where I can interact and react to your guys' takes, please drop them down in the comments below, because I would love to. And also, before we begin today's video, please make sure you guys go ahead and drop me a thumbs up. It takes 1 second and it helps me and the channel out tremendously. But Jags fans, let's get into the very first hot take. It's probably one of my favorite ones out of this entire list, and it's from the man himself, Jackson DeVille. He says, Jackson DeVille will maintain his status as the #1 mascot. Never mind. Come on, man. Everyone and their mother knows that you are the best mascot in the entire NFL. You've been on so many blooper reels. You've been on a lot of just funny SportsCenter top 10 highlights, and also that iconic picture of you, what was it, an American swimsuit or an American Speedo when the Jags beat the Cowboys last year. Just Jackson DeVille by far is the best mascot in the NFL. That's a cold take. But let's get into the next one. This guy says Tank Bigsby goes off for at least 1,000 rushing yards. That is a piping hot take. The Jaguars last season averaged 25 rushing attempts per game, if memory serves me correctly. Let's just say Travis Etienne, for the sake of argument, gets about, 20 carries out of those 25. The Jaguars are going to average 25 carries a game too. If Tank Bigsby is going to get an average of about 5 carries per game, which I think is reasonable to expect, I highly doubt he's going to get 1,000 yards all purpose. That means that Travis Etienne would probably have to go down with an injury and miss significant time. Knock on wood that doesn't happen, because he's a dynamic playmaker. Tank Bigsby getting 1,000 yards rushing. Let's pump the brakes. I asked for hot takes, but this is piping hot. Now, getting into the next one. The Jaguars win 3 out of their 4 big games. Now, I personally believe the Jaguars have 5 big games, right? When he's referring to Kansas City, Buffalo, Cincinnati, and Baltimore, I would also throw in the 49ers in that big game conversation for the Jaguars after the bye week. But when you refer to these 3 out of 4 games that the Jaguars would win, I completely agree. I have the Jaguars in my schedule record prediction. If you guys didn't make that video and you guys couldn't see it, I will go ahead and link to it up above. But I have the Jaguars beating Kansas City in week 2. I have the Jaguars winning in London versus the Buffalo Bills, because they'll be well rested. And I have the Jaguars on Monday Night Football beating the Cincinnati Bengals, right? Trevor Lawrence couldn't beat Joe Burrow in college. He didn't do it his rookie season. 3rd time is the charm. And then the Baltimore Ravens, I think that they get revenge on Sunday Night Football in Jacksonville, and they go ahead and they get the Jaguars this time around. But let's move into the next hot take. Josh Allen and Trayvon will combine with 30+ sacks. This is outrageously hot. Like, this is piping hot yet again. Unless we see Josh Allen have a TJ Watt type of season where he was the defensive player of the year a couple of seasons ago. I think he had 22.5 sacks that season while still missing some games. The likelihood of Trayvon Walker and Josh Allen combining for 30+ sacks are as great as my chances of actually getting a girlfriend. This is piping hot. And I'm all here for it. I'm all here for it if this actually happens, because I believe Trayvon Walker is going to have year 2 dominance. I do believe he's going to assert himself as the #1 overall pick, and you're going to see why we truly valued him and this front office did. Josh Allen is going to have a great year 5 contract year. He's going to put up career highs across the board. I wholeheartedly agree. But 30+ sacks, look, I asked for some hot takes. This is piping hot, but you know what? Let's just move on to the next one. The next one says the Jacksonville Jaguars will be 13-4 and the #1 seed in the AFC. Now this one, I actually do agree with, because I do have the Jaguars winning 13 games this season and being the #1 seed in the AFC. I think it is so important for the Jaguars to lock up the #1 seed in the AFC because they will not only secure a first-round bye and having to avoid elimination in the first round, that means you're just 1 win away in the divisional round from going to the AFC Championship game and just 2 wins away from going to the Super Bowl. If the Jaguars can avoid having to go to Buffalo, Cincinnati, Kansas City, or anywhere that has inclement weather in the month of January and they can stay at Everbank Field in Duval County, yes, we know Jacksonville gets cold in January, but hell, it is not like Arrowhead Stadium or some of these other places that have snowy, cold weather. That would work to the Jaguars' advantage, and obviously all of us fans being there to support, that would be huge. I have the Jaguars winning 13 games. I have them as the #1 seed in the AFC. So yes, that's a hot take, but I wholeheartedly agree there. The next one says Travis Etienne will be top 5 all-purpose yard running back this season. That's definitely a hot take. That's definitely out there when you consider some other great running backs with guys like, Christian McCaffrey. Who knows if Jonathan Taylor comes back? There's a lot of guys I could throw out into that mix. Maybe Saquon Barkley has even a bigger role in this Giants offense after he just got a new contract quote. But Travis Etienne definitely has that kind of potential. I can definitely see Travis Etienne having anywhere from 12 to 1,300 rushing yards, 5 to 600 receiving yards. He could be a guy that is damn near has 2,000 plus yards from scrimmage this upcoming season. I'm here and I'm all for it. Travis Etienne's a dynamic playmaker. I love what he brings to this offense, and he's a different kind of running back, a guy who can split out wide, a guy you can utilize in a lot of different sets, and obviously we know how capable he is of being a receiving back. As long as he continues to hold on to the football, Travis Etienne has a place in this offense. Now this next one is a little bit too hot for me. Jordan Smith gets 3 sacks. I'll say for me personally, I do not understand the hype or some of the people that are absolutely infatuated by the idea of Jordan Smith making a significant impact or role on this team. Now look, I don't want to hate on the guy, right? He's a young guy from the University of Alabama, Birmingham. We took him in the draft a couple of seasons ago. He's dealt with a lot of injuries. He's been through the whole Urban Meyer fiasco. He's never really had a chance to assert himself or really make solid contributions on this team. But the Jaguars have other depth players. The Jaguars have other guys on this team that can go ahead and make an impact. Now look, if Jordan Smith gets 3 sacks, good for him, and that's good for us because that means that we're getting solid contributions from a guy that we don't expect it to. But I just don't see it. That's just a very hot take to me. I just don't see it at all. Getting into this next one, I like this one a whole lot. It says Darius Williams leads this team in interceptions. And I think that's very likely, right? When you talk about the Jaguars front 7 putting a lot of pressure on the quarterback, and if the Jaguars are going to be leading in a lot of games, that means teams are going to have to be throwing the ball in order to try to get back into the contest. And with Tyson Campbell on the opposite side of Darius Williams, he's going to be locking down a lot of cornerback #1s. He's not going to be getting as many targets. That means that Darius Williams will be the primary guy getting targeted on the outside for the Jaguars secondary players, and I like Darius Williams a lot. I think he actually showed a lot of promise in that week 1 of the NFL preseason versus the Cowboys. And sure, it wasn't the starters playing. I think he did a much better job of tackling and really asserting himself. I like Darius Williams a lot, and I like this take a whole lot. Now getting into this other one, it says, how about this? I think it will be Zay Jones who will lead the Jaguars in touchdowns with at least 12. Now, the Jaguars are going to find themselves in a lot of red zone situations. I don't remember what the Jaguars' red zone touchdown percentage was last season off the top of my head, but if the Jaguars find themselves in the red zone, a lot of eyes are automatically going to be on Calvin Ridley and Christian Kirk, so that's going to open up the floodgates, I believe, for guys like Evan Ingram and Zay Jones, and Zay Jones is obviously extremely reliable. We saw the Jaguars go to him many times in the red zone, specifically in that Baltimore game when he got that 2-point conversion, and also in that Week 3 contest versus the Chargers. The Jaguars trust him. I know Trevor Lawrence trusts him, and I do think it's very possible that Zay Jones does lead this team in touchdowns. Big shout out to Isaiah Jones and obviously Zay Jones lover on Twitter. One of the GOATs, Cheyenne. Getting into this next take, this one's extremely hot to me if you ask me as well. Andre Sisco will ascend into a top 5 safety. Yasir Abdullah will have 5+ sacks. Trayvon Walker will be top 8 in the NFL in tackles for loss. Now let's go down one by one with this. Andre Sisco will ascend to a top 5 safety. I think Sisco's got Pro Bowl potential and it has a Pro Bowl caliber type of ceiling this season, but a top 5 safety, let's still pump the brakes just a little bit, just because I still think there's other great safeties out there with guys like Antoine Winfield Jr. down in Tampa. We got guys like Justin Simmons. We've got guys like Kevin Byard playing for the Tennessee Titans, Derwin James, like just some of the first names I can think of off the top of my head, and there's plenty of great safeties out there in the NFL. Andre Cisco showed a lot last season, and he really got an opportunity in his sophomore season. Year 3, we can see a huge jump from him, but let's maybe pump the brakes on being a top 5 safety this upcoming season for Andre Cisco. Now getting into the next one, Yasir Abdullah will have 5+ sacks. That one I think is a little bit more realistic and reasonable than the Cisco take, because Yasir Abdullah really will have a lot of chances and opportunity to get home and get after the quarterback, because he's actually going to have a role in this defense and in that front 7, having an opportunity to go home and get some sacks on the quarterback. And then getting into the last one, Trayvon Walker will be top 5 is what he said, top 8 in the NFL in tackles for loss. That is very reasonable. We saw Trayvon Walker make a huge impact, especially towards the latter half of the season when the Jaguars were making their run in the run game, and really Trayvon Walker does a great job setting the edge. He's too physical, too dominant, and too athletic of a specimen to not just go ahead and dominate, and that's why I believe in him a lot, in his mindset and his work ethic. He looks like he's really transforming his game a whole lot, and I truly believe he's gonna have a year 2 dominant type of season. But now kind of getting into these last couple of ones, I've got 2 more left. The Jaguars will win the AFC South the Jaguars will win the AFC going 17-0. They will win the Super Bowl for the first time, having a perfect season since 1972. I think the Miami Dolphins were the last team to do that in 1972, to have a perfect season. Obviously, the New England Patriots couldn't do it when they lost to the Giants in the Super Bowl. That's just not gonna happen. Not even gonna entertain this take. As much as I love my Jaguars and I believe in this team, and I think that we are gonna go 13-4, the Jaguars are not gonna go 17-0. No team in the NFL this year is gonna go 17-0. The NFL is too talented, too good, too unpredictable for a team to go 17-0. Now look, at the end of the day, any given Sunday, anything's possible, but I'm not betting anything. I wouldn't even bet $5 on the Jaguars to go 17-0. That's just, to me, a little bit unreasonable. Don't see that happening whatsoever, but you know what? I love the optimism. Jaguars winning the Super Bowl, there we go. That's a lot more optimistic. Give me all the Kool-Aid. Now getting into this very last take, kind of going back to Andre Cisco. Andre Cisco has 5+ interceptions. Our secondary as a whole is top 5 in takeaways / turnovers forced. The Jaguars last season defensively were tied for 4th in the NFL with 27 takeaways. They had 14 interceptions, 13 fumble recoveries, and the Jaguars were also, I believe, top 8 in the NFL in turnover differential. They were +5 in that category. The Jaguars had 22 turnovers last year compared to 27 takeaways that they had. Andre Cisco having 5+ interceptions, that's very reasonable. That could very well happen, especially when you consider the Jaguars and how good that secondary is. When you talk about guys that they've retained, with guys like Rayshawn Jenkins, obviously Tyson Campbell, Darius Williams on the outside, and just playing year 2 under Mike Caldwell in this defensive scheme, Andre Cisco could very well do that. He showed a lot of promise and a lot of potential in year 2, and like I said, I think year 3, you're really gonna see him assert himself as one of the better young safeties in the NFL. He's gonna have a breakout type of season, and he very well could be a Pro Bowler this year. But that's it for this hot take video. Jaguar fans, I want to hear your guys' thoughts in the comments down below. If I could not get to your hot take, I do apologize. I wish I could, but I try to get to as many as possible and try to be as reasonably fast as possible when I'm going through these takes. And Jags fans, if you guys enjoyed today's video, make sure you guys go ahead and drop me a thumbs up. It takes 1 second and it helps me and the channel out tremendously. If you guys are new here, consider hitting that subscribe bell to stay tuned for more Jaguars content that I do here on YouTube. And make sure you guys also go ahead and follow me on my socials, especially on Twitter. I'm very active and I'm on there every single day. The link tree will be in the description down below, so you guys can go ahead and check that out. And make sure you guys also go ahead and check out my podcast that I drop every single Wednesday morning with me and Darian Harris, who's Chill Takes. You guys might know him in the Jaguars community. He's also very big on TikTok. We talk the NFL and NBA, and we've been doing some great breakdowns throughout the podcast, so make sure you guys also go ahead and check that out. The link tree will be in the description down below. But Jags fans, thanks again for sticking around throughout the whole video. Brett James, aka BJ, I'm out, y'all. Go Jags, baby. Peace.